All right, guys, welcome back to the Vannoisseur Podcast. We usually go live here on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern and here on StrangerPalooza. And Vannoisseur Podcast is all about exploring Class B RVs, overlanding, and van life. And joining me, this is, I think, probably the last official show for 2023. Joining me is Jared McCauslin. Did I get that right?
You nailed it, man. You
There you
got it.
go. There you go. CEO. I think newly minted CEO of Vandoit, but not new to Vandoit. How you doing, Jared?
Doing great today. How you doing, Hank?
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for being here. By the way, look at that.
Uh,
I am wearing Vandoit colors. I don't know if you noticed that.
no, I did it, man. I love the rep.
yeah,
Love it. I'll
if
send
I
you
get
more.
Oh, thank you. I might get in trouble, but whatever. I'm a fan of Vandoit. I'm even wearing look like a yellow watch to coordinate with
You
the
just going
colors.
for it. Just
Yes,
gotta go for it.
absolutely. Thanks so much for being here. I've known Vandoit for a while. I think actually you guys deserve some of the credit for inspiring me to get into van life. I met some of your folks. I think it was 2018 at SEMA show. I met some reps for Vandoit and just really started thinking about using a van as my office and getting around the country and all that kind of stuff. I haven't actually gotten into a Vandoit yet, but I still follow you guys and I'm really a big fan of what you do. So this is really cool. This is to me going to be a fun show. And I think we should start off here by telling the folks who you are and how you came to be working with Vandoit.
Okay. So Jared McCauslin, CEO of Vandoit. Gosh, what was that been? Became CEO about 2 years ago. But previous, I guess, to that title, I was co-founder with my father-in-law, Brent Klein, of Vandoit, which is a spinoff of a three-generational business. And basically, to sum up probably how we've gotten to the point of where we're at is maybe the best way to put it. I went to college, left college, went to the corporate world for about 2 years, and through a long history, and we can dive into that later if you want, Hank. But the biggest thing is came back to Klein Van Specialty Rental, which was a daily rental operation, and come back to basically a staff of one person. And whenever I joined, Brent and I, my father-in-law, we talked about, there's going to be something bigger that we do. There's going to be something that we can really sink our teeth into. But at the time, we didn't know. Moved back to the Kansas City area, and that would have been in 2016. Moved back to the Kansas City area, and the first kind of endeavor we jumped into was a little bit of real estate that we'd done forever. And then with utilizing the daily van rental side, it always became that thing in the fall and going into the next spring. What do we do with vehicles that we'd been leasing or renting out throughout the summer? And what can we do with them? And kind of basically how's the funny story goes. I wanted to build a camper van for my father-in-law to kind of get him out of my hair. He'd also had full career and basically it became a thing where I wanted him to be able to travel. He's an avid cyclist. I wanted my mother-in-law to be able to get out and go. And so through kind of the fall, we started talking about ideas for a van build. And basically fast forward about 6 months later, we started building a handful of vans with the idea and concept that this could actually turn into a business. And lo and behold, basically 6 years later is what you see Vandoit as today.
Mm-hmm.
The early days of it is kind of like I think what most startups are. You are a startup in the context of, you're trying to work through all different types of, napkin, pencil, all those type things and trying to kind of just kitchen table your ideas. And that's what Brent and I did for quite a while. And over time, we started acquiring basically more team members, brought the business down to Kansas City, which is where we are now in Blue Springs, Missouri. and kind of just every day, starting 6 years ago, basically it's what do we need to do for our customer base to build a product that lasts and build a product that people are going to enjoy and always be innovative, always be on the side of cutting edge, always try to do the things that we know we need to do for our customers. And that's where you see, if you followed us, like you said, 2018, if you followed us, you just continually see changes and evolution in what we do, but we stay with the same fundamental basis with modularity, versatility, and honestly, value. We are just so value driven. We want our Vandoit owners to have these things forever, be able to modify and make sense where it need be, but basically really give the value, basically pinch those pennies as far as they can go.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's kind of that's the nutshell.
yeah. I think modularity is a big part of your story. Um, and from my memory, when you guys started out, like you said, right? Were they like off lease vans that were coming in, and then you guys were building them into vans for folks, and maybe saving people money that way, make it more affordable to do this. And now these are like new vans that you're putting out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started, everything was off the basis of what we considered off lease.
Mm-hmm.
So their units are not necessarily personally owned units; they're fleet owned vehicles that typically had anywhere from 5,000 to 25,000 miles on them. And it gave us the ability of taking that brand new unit, shave the new cost off,
Mm-hmm.
cutting 10, 15, nowadays probably $20,000 off the cost of the chassis, and
Mm-hmm.
then be able to turn around and do an upfit to where you could still get, when we first started, you got a fully built van from us, and you were in the realm of playing ball with, upper $50,000 with an upfit.
Mm-hmm.
And that
That's
was
changed
something that was
drastically. with
that
not
that
because of
has
you guys.
changed. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Mm-hmm.
for years, our bread and butter has been starting with a used chassis to get
Mm-hmm.
that price down
Mm-hmm.
from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with, that thing called COVID, in 2020, supply chain went away. A lot of the struggles came about, and trying to get our hands on used good chassis to still do that for customers became extremely difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and our hand was just forced to go basically new. And so since then, since about the summer of 2020, I do not believe we've built probably more than a dozen vans on used chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Now we do offer a lot of programs where we still have used inventory,
Oh, that's cool.
from prior owners, current owners, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, we've only built on brand new chassis. But our hopes and dreams is to be able to bring back that budget friendly unit by starting with a used chassis. Also, the idea is potentially building a unit that gets into a price point where you can build as you can afford.
Yeah.
Kind of a few models we've been working on.
Yeah. So as we're going through this conversation here, if you guys have questions, shout out to everyone who's coming in. I see people starting to come in now. Let me know what your questions are. Also, hit those thumbs ups. We'll definitely get to that. Um, so I think a lot of different things have happened, and van life has just like grown exponentially. I think, from my point of view, I'm going to say it's always been around. When I speak to
Mm.
folks, it's been around since like what are we looking at here? 60s, 70s, If you really
Shag
talk to
carpet.
yeah, if you talk to the old school guys, even Lola and I, when our kids were younger, we had a conversion van and we drove around the country with that. Um, but I think in the last 5 years, it's not just COVID. I think even before COVID, it was growing, and then COVID was just like rocket fuel to it.
Mhm.
Um, Prices and everything on vans have really, really grown. And I think we've got three major van brands that we get here in America, right? The Mercedes
Mhm.
Sprinter, the Ram ProMaster, and then the Ford Transit. One of the unique things about you guys is I think you deal only with the Ford Transit, right?
Mhm. Yeah, so we are fully exclusive, have always been fully exclusive with the Ford Transit.
Mm-hmm.
We going back into the generational business with my father-in-law Brent. We've
Mm-hmm.
just always had an amazing relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
From the fleet days, we had sprinters. Well, back then it would have been Ram sprinters and Freightliners,
Mm-hmm.
as the name kind of passed through. But
Mm-hmm.
we also have Ram ProMasters, Nissan Envies. I mean, we've ran them all. The Chevy vans,
Mm-hmm.
we've ran them all. And when the new Ford Transit came to America in 2015, we basically shifted our entire fleet over to Ford.
Mm-hmm.
We would still carry a few sprinters, basically to have that emblem on the parking lot. But because of reliability, because of all the reasons we're exclusive with them with the camper van,
Mm-hmm.
we would almost never send them out. I mean, we've become just so loyal to Ford, and they've just been so great to us.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ford vans. And I think that's a part of the issue of what's happening now because they're such good vans. You can go to a lot of places and get them serviced and all that kind of stuff. That I think Ford underestimated in America the demand here. They've been building these vans, I think, something like the 50s or 60s as well, maybe late 50s, early 60s, something like that, all over the world, including in Europe. They were really big. But here in America, I think they underestimated how much people would want them, especially all-wheel drive. It's fantastic. Um, that leads me into asking you guys about the Transit Trail because that to me is really cool. You guys, Vandoit is the first place I actually saw a transit trail with my own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a video on this, which at I think it was Overland East in Virginia, and you guys had the transit trail there, not built, which I thought was cool because I can actually look at the shell and see what how it comes before you do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
But when Ford announced that, and it's a big deal because Ford is getting into is I think the first of those companies that build vans to actually make a van specifically for the RV world.
Mm-hmm.
When it first came out, you guys had the prototype, right? Van
Mm-hmm.
Duit was in all the marketing stuff that Ford did. If I could just get you to talk about that, like how did that happen, and what did you guys think about that when that happened?
So to go timeline, I guess is probably easiest.
Mm-hmm.
So this time last year, in kind of the second half of November and December of 2022, that is when Ford spent their time gathering and getting all the marketing content for the Ford Transit Trail to be able to release there about, I think it was like the first part of January of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Um, go back in time, go back to I think it was May of 2022. So not this prior May, but the one prior to it. With our relationship with Ford, we've always done a lot of different things with Ford marketing. We share booth space at big events. We put a lot of our camper vans in their bigger booths, like SEMA is a perfect
Mm-hmm.
example. And working with them, we just have such a great relationship. When they wanted to release the Ford Transit Trail, they wanted a brand that they could work with in that process, I guess I should say, to be able to show not what you saw at Overland East, which
Mm-hmm.
in all essence, a transit trail, when it comes from factory, we can talk about the features, but the biggest thing is that it is basically it's a blank canvas for a DIY builder, a builder like us, people in the RV world to be able to do all the things that we want to be able to do with it. And what they wanted to do is they wanted a builder that they work closely with, and we were their call. And so, working with the marketing team for Ford Engineering, starting in May of 2022, we started doing the blueprint and the plans for the first transit trail that you see in all the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What's really cool about that is we really got to work closely with the engineering team. We got close to work with the team that did all of the prototyping for the lift, for
Mm-hmm.
basically what the trail is.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool for us because we also got to help give feedback, help, really, I mean, basically just be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, they actually ended up doing their photo shoots. So all of the driving you see, the photo shoots, that's actually done right here outside of Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
We were on set, helping assist them in any tight turn, because as you mentioned, and I guess I can confirm that at the time and when you saw it, that was the first and only transit trail that had been touched.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's a
so,
big deal.
it
I'm sure some other
it's
companies out
it's a big
there
deal.
that build on these vans were like, "Oh, if I could get those guys." And
Yeah.
when I
So it
saw it, I was happy because I was like, "This is cool, man." Vandoit, it's you guys. I know people know about you because when I'm traveling, especially like on the West Coast, I see Vandoit a lot, right? So yeah, I'm sure that was. Did you get to go to that secret bunker under the mountain that I've heard about?
No, I didn't. We didn't get to do that one, but we actually still have that first trail actually in our
Hmm.
facility.
Oh, cool.
Um, and as you know, with the trail, it was a cargo.
Hmm.
Really Van Duits. So we have two things to kind of like, I guess I should say three. You have the aspect that we started with off lease, so we could
Hmm.
drive our price way down whenever we could build our units first starting out. Secondly, we use passenger vans. So
Hmm.
we only ever complemented what Ford did. Ford headliners, C options. We simply just complemented everything that they had already spent time doing, all the R&D, all the testing, all the crash testing.
Hmm.
We only complemented those things. We never removed them. And so we've always used passenger vans. We've never built on a cargo until we were presented the Transit Trail, which is a cargo chassis. So, meaning we have to start with making the shell ourselves, making the foundation of the build ourselves, cutting
Hmm.
windows in if we want windows. And we took that project on. And if you go to our website, there's a huge write up about basically how we work together, but we as a team took on the project to build our first cargo concept we'd ever done to the level of the functionality, modularity that you see in every Vandoit build.
Hmm.
And so it really was a taxing on our team, but it was also very exciting for seeing what the next chapter could really look like. Having the do model, having the live model, state of the art units that still have massive functionality and huge places in this world. We knew that we wanted to take on the challenge to work with Ford on the transit trail for the cargo aspect, because we knew that was a missing piece of our portfolio,
Hmm.
and bringing that kind of build, what most would say is your standard van life build out. If you
Hmm.
mentioned, you say, hey, I have a Sprinter. Well, Sprinter means type of vehicle, in my opinion. It doesn't mean
Hmm.
brand of chassis.
Right.
And so we really wanted to, in a lot of essence, spread our wings. We
Hmm.
wanted to spread our portfolio out, and we wanted to really, with Ford by our side, us by Ford's side, we really wanted to put focus towards what could this next chapter look like. So, I mean, we gave Ford our all, and honestly, you see the product on the other side with the new Moov package that we've released and have now shipped out successfully to some owners.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've got like about a minute and a half here before we
Mm-hmm.
take a break, but I think yeah, that was great, man. That was a big win for you guys. Very proud of you guys for that one. Quickly, in the minute that we have, what is going to be the major details that people want to know about the transit? And we might take some of this over to the next segment. So you said it's a cargo van, but what
Mm-hmm.
sizes, things like that? The transit
So
trail.
it's yeah. So the
Hmm.
Transit Trail is built on the T350 chassis. So that's your standard Transit that you're going to see. They build it on the mid roof and high roof with an extended. At this time, they do not build it on a dually, so you cannot do a dually rear axle.
Hmm.
All are the EcoBoost motor, also with all-wheel drive.
Hmm.
Um, but the main features are the ones that you can see. So it's got the increased ride height.
Hmm.
So you get a little bit more there. It also comes with an all-terrain tire from factory. So in a lot of cases where most people are adding those tires afterwards, you're actually going to get it from them, which is also going to make sure that everything's tried and true with the chassis.
Hmm.
And so, but you're running on, and Ford did a great job of making sure that all of the chassis that your standard
Hmm.
builders,
We're gonna
including
take.
ourselves
I'm
now.
sorry, Jared. We're gonna take a
You're
quick
good.
break. So as you guys might have already heard, Lola and myself are brand ambassadors for Sunshine State RV. And as Vannoisseurs, I want to take this moment to encourage anyone who is in the market for a Class B van to start their journey with SSRV.
Sunshine State RVs specializes in selling Class B vans and B plus RVs. That is the reason why they are the #1 dealer in all of the state of Florida.
Number 3 in the whole United States.
SSRV will fly you right to their location in Gainesville, Florida. They'll give you a very detailed and thorough walkthrough of your van, and they'll give you a 2-night stay at a local campground so you can get used to your van. If you don't like that, you can actually have hands-free delivery anywhere in the United States of your RV.
We bought our Coachman Beyond from Sunshine State RV 2 years ago. And over the past 2 years, we've seen how they treat customers when it comes to warranty side. Their service team is great. Whether you bought it from them or not, every person that comes in there gets the same service and care when it comes to warranty repairs. The same service, attention, and care. And their team does a great job getting you back on the road safely.
So if you guys are in the market for a B or B plus van, consider Sunshine State RV. We've got a link in the description that you guys can use to see their current inventory and have someone get in touch with you. All right, we're back here. Sorry about that, Jared. We were talking about details, and I think people would be very interested in this. And for the Transit Trail, you can buy one directly from Ford, right? You don't have to necessarily get it from Vandoit or anywhere else,
Yeah.
but you should be able to. I think there's a couple of like regular folks out there that have bought them so far.
Yep, they are they're not exclusive to OEM builders.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Vandoit in the position at which we are in, being QVM certified, we're an OVM upfitter for Ford, and just kind of what I've mentioned a couple times now, our relationship with them, we do get a chance at chassis before others do, and I guess another way to say that is we get the volume when others don't, mainly because of just our loyalty to them over the years. And so a lot of times if you do have a chassis on order with a dealer, another upfitter, things like that, a lot of times because of our volume, because of our relationships, and everything that we do, a lot of times we are going to have something before others have it. And if we don't have it before others do, there's a more of a promise and a guarantee that we will have it in time.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike how you've kind of seen the car business over the last couple of years, just across all brands, if they tell you it's going to be 6 months, be careful making promises and be careful making trips around that timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look out for that upcharge. I don't know if
Yes.
I don't know if there's a lot of that with vans,
Mm-hmm.
but there definitely is that in the car world. So when let's say someone's out there looking at getting a transit trail, and they're thinking, "Hey, I could build this up myself." I think if you're very skilled, you absolutely could do it yourself, and that's the whole point of Ford getting into the space. However, if you don't have the time, you don't have the skills, I think a good way to go about this is to go to an upfitter. Sure, eventually we're going to see manufacturers, your bigger RV manufacturers out there, putting out versions of a transit trail as well. But I think that a good place to go to for that is Vandoit, because you guys are modular. You can get this van, take things out if you need to get the space, put things back in, change it around, right?
Yeah, I mean so we require all of our customers to come in house and do at least a single full day walkthrough of their vehicle. We do that because, well, for one, a lot is sight unseen, but then two, with the way we build with our modularity, we want to spend the time with you to make sure that when you leave our facility, everything is the way you want it. Um, with the style and everything that we do, with moving kitchens around, moving seating around, beds, most of your builders, most of your standard Class Bs or any motorhome for that fact, they are screwed together, wood, and you're not going to move stuff. They are what they are, and you get trained on the power system, and then you're good to go. Probably some black tanks, some sewer, some of that. But we make everything to where it's just not set in stone. So you might leave with the concept of, say, hey, you might have 2 kids at home still that you need to take to school or practice or whatever the case might be. But let's say you have your van and they graduate, they move on, and you're not using it for necessarily hauling people anymore. That's great because you can remove the seats, and our vans do go up to 8-passenger seating. Remove the seats, put your galley kitchen in, and now you just have a full-time RV at your hands. And so unlike most brands, unlike most products, almost all products you see in the marketplace, we are a one-size shoe who fits all. Is probably one way to put it. Instead of having a whole closet of shoes, we are that one shoe for everything. And so it gives you that ability of changing the vehicle for the time of year you're in, time of life that you're in, whatever the case might be. We can make it versatile. We have people who do landscaping with their vans, and then they go camp 4 people. I mean, they'll literally take wheelbarrows and a tarp and just lay all of the, what am I trying to say, like bark for their landscaping in the back of a van. And then within a couple hours, they pull the tarp out, throw a bed back in, and go camping, And so that versatility, is what really sets us in a different, I shouldn't say category, but we're kind of just all around different. We're the Swiss Army knife is who we are.
I'm rolling in pictures, by the way, while you're talking, because your team sent me some pictures on Google Drive that I'm rolling in here for people, just so they can get an idea if you haven't seen a Vandoit van before. This particular one is the trail. I've got some other stuff.
That is what you have on the screen there. That is the very first concept build that we did for our all-new Moov build. And I want to disclaimer that build. Okay. That was from a napkin to finished product in about 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
That was, let's just say that was trying to fit a square peg in a round hole literally every day. It was a lot of late nights.
Yeah,
it was a lot of late nights.
Yeah. The trail's really good looking, by the way. Just a really good looking van. I like the those like markers right there. It's kind of a hybrid of this grill, this black grill that you see in Europe, but they've got the marker lights on. It's just really cool, man.
Yeah, they go a lot of our customers, even myself, I kind of call it the Raptor style, kind of like the Raptor truck. They went a little more that way to get the larger flares. Yeah, there's the black rim, the all-terrain tire.
Yeah.
And so you get a little bit wider stance, and for most of us / almost all of us, the look, is so much of what you're looking for is honestly that look, and the trail absolutely adds that extra level above what the standard the standard transit has.
Yeah. What do you see, like, so far as people coming in and making orders? Do you see them going for the 148 or the 148 extended wheelbase, which is the longer one?
Well, okay, go off percentage. You typically see the 148 non-extended.
Okay.
That's typically what you see, because I think a lot of it is when you get that extra length, people start to worry about, can I still park it in my standard parking spot at the grocery store?
Okay.
Whenever you're not extended, you're really still the size of just a normal vehicle. But what's really cool, I should say, is whenever you take that chassis, you go extended, you're bigger than a Suburban, but you're not that much bigger. My wife, we almost always travel in the extended length dually, which is a little bit wider, it's longer, but she has no problems with it. And I think that's the biggest thing we notice with people is they get scared about the additional size, but the payoff of the additional size, people will learn how to cope with its footprint. And I think that's what I see so often with people, is just the constant, oh my gosh, I'm worried about, can I park it here? Can I park it there?
Yeah.
Getting in out of the school lines, whatever the case might be. And then once they do it a few times, they're like, oh, well, this is no big deal. It's like going from a car to a Suburban. Yeah, it's a difference, but it's a manageable difference. And the thing that we see with what our vans do versus your typical RV, pull behinds, things like that, is we replace a loan, a car payment. So instead of having a truck and a car in your driveway and then you have an RV, we replace your car or your truck. And we actually see it very often that couples will come in, families will come in, and a lot of times it might be the husband who's getting rid of his truck or his car, because maybe the wife is not so, confident, I guess I should say, in the size of driving it for their day-to-days. And 9 times out of 10, we see that script flipped. We see with the 8-passenger seating, the ability of standing inside a vehicle and put a kid in a car seat. That's why my wife won't travel in anything but our vans.
Saves your back.
We can hop it. Yeah, you can stand up. And so, I mean, it really is a Suburban standing. It's a better version of a minivan. And so we just see people constantly realizing how affordable these are when they see the versatility and modularity actually benefiting them.
Yeah. And I think the same thing happened with Lola and myself. We traded in. We had a Ram Rebel. Both of us drove it to get this van. Lola, when I give her a chance to drive this van, she loves it. It's actually easier to drive than that Ram Rebel. It's probably maybe a little bit bigger than that, but it's very easy to drive. I think the issue comes in maybe if you're looking, and ours is dually, but if you're looking at going off-road, the non-dually is probably a better fit for you if you're going to go off-road. Easier, better for that to be lifted, and non-dually just for like articulation and stuff. I don't know how much of that you're going to get in a van, but
yeah. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Right.
People do perfectly fine in a non-dually. I personally, these things are tall. So the biggest thing, like with my sales team and when we talk to our clients is we're not going to, soften the blow for you. We're not going to sugarcoat it. These things are tall. They're big. They can catch wind and side wind, especially when you go extended. Having that additional dually back there, having that extra footprint on the ground, it dramatically helps. And so everything is a give and take. Transit does not produce a passenger van that's not an extended dually.
Okay.
So to be clear, they make a mid roof, low roof, high roof, standard length, so the 148, and then their extended only comes in high roof and dually for passenger units. And I think, truthfully, I think a lot of it's not payload. That's not really what changes it. I think it's stability. I think it's just knowing if you have a blowout, you got another tire there to save you.
And I think with your traditional manufacturers that are out there building Class B vans, especially for weight, they're building mostly on dualies. And it's probably a good idea. In my opinion, it's definitely easier to drive and all that kind of stuff. Yes, if you're going fast enough and you have enough wind, it's going to move you around. I think the tech inside of a Ford helps a lot, but you probably need to slow down and and take it easy.
Yeah.
But yes, dually helps. Like I've driven single wheel, lifted and everything on the highways, and it's a little loosey-goosey, a little squirrely, a little bit more squirrely at times. Do you think that Ford's actually going to do a version of the Transit Trail and put dualies on it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I hope they do, because my favorite chassis is the extended dually. For honestly all the reasons we talked about, stability being the biggest one. I hope they do. We'll see. It does make sense for them. I think the biggest thing just with supply chain, chassis, everything else. It's
Mm-hmm.
which ones do we really need to make sure we build first,
Yeah.
and then we'll probably venture into kind of spanning it out,
Yeah.
So I foresee it happening.
Mm-hmm.
When and what volume, who knows?
Yeah, I think Ford's had some serious issues actually like building enough vans in 2023 for sure. Obviously, everyone had that in during COVID, but in
Mm-hmm.
2023, some months I see when I look at the reports out there, like Ford's building more, and then I
Mm-hmm.
talk to people and they're like, "Well, we're not getting more," and then I see
Yeah.
the reports like, "Yeah, there's less getting built." I don't know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what the issue is, but there's very high demand, and I think there's just still some supply issues out there with all the different things going on in the
Mm-hmm.
world.
Yeah.
So,
Supply issues. I mean, definitely, um, it definitely, my background and just kind of being around long enough.
hmm
What we see is that something like COVID hits, there's going to be ripple effects.
hmm
You
hmm
throw something out there in the ocean or a pond, and you're going to get ripples. It's how
hmm
big a ripple do you make on what do you throw in the water?
hmm
And COVID threw was massive, and it threw serious ripples.
yeah,
And I talking with my father-in-law Brent, who's been an amazing mentor for me. We talk about it constantly, but back in 2021, we kind of figured we're going to have 3 to 4 years of ripple effects from all of this,
hmm
and the auto industry could have it longer.
yeah,
Because if you look at just the sheer volume
hmm
that the auto industry is used to producing every year, and the world has been dependent upon that volume, you're not going to uncover, you're not going to get back on top in a year.
yeah,
You're not going to, recorrect that in 2 years. And there's just been so many chain reaction components happen, microprocessors, chips, I guess is what people call them.
hmm It's a
And
simple way
then
to put it, but it's a lot more than that. Yeah.
yeah, it's
hmm
so it's we still feel it, but because of our structure, because of our foundation, because of our backing as in a company, who we are, we are very fundamentally strong, and we've never had to slow down.
hmm
We definitely grew year over year. We had to halt growth at times just because we didn't want to run ourselves into a position, but we've never had to slow down. And that's been such a great feeling knowing that we have supplies to continue to build. But it's let me just say there's been times where we've gotten ourselves down to what are we going to do in 3 or 4 weeks?
hmm
But those days are past us, and it's really feeling great going into 2024.
Okay. And let me see. There's so many things I want to get into here. I want to get into the move. I've got some pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, though, I want to ask you, does Vandoit build a dually, right? So an extended wheelbase dually, and then lift it? Have you guys done that?
We have, yep.
Okay. How's that worked
We
out?
have.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually worked out really well.
Okay.
We've worked with Quigley
Okay.
4x4 on their Q Lift platform.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a lot of time testing. So for about 3 years, we've been doing lifts through a third party vendor
Okay.
here locally to us. We do
Mm-hmm.
full suspension, and just in time, we've just continually perfected and tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
So what you get in the trail is also something that we have perfected in a different facet, and it's been amazing for our owners. Drivability, stability. We're doing suspension on the front and rear to where it really our owners' satisfaction and drive comfort, let's call it,
Mm-hmm.
is just through the roof.
Okay.
It's been awesome, and as most of us care about, the looks of these lifted units are just amazing.
Yeah, I would love to take a look at that. That's one thing I have not driven that I would love to drive and see how that is. But people ask me about it all the time. So tell us about the move. I'm gonna run in some pictures. We've got about 2.5 minutes, so some of
Okay.
this will carry over. But so the move and the trail are connected, right?
They are, yes, yep.
Okay.
We built the first Move model concept because of our partnership with Ford and working with them on the first trail concept. We had to venture into the cargo, And at the time, it was the cargo concept on the all-new Transit Trail. And when we really saw what we had built and accomplished, we realized it's got to be a new part of our portfolio. And it became what we call now the Moov model. And the Moov model is built on cargo chassis, which also we can do on an extended length cargo dually.
Okay.
It just isn't a trail.
Okay.
And so like the photos you see there, so that is actually a lifted cargo. That is not a trail in that photo.
Oh, this is not.
That is,
okay.
that is not. That is a
Okay.
Ford Transit T350 high roof cargo
Okay.
built out with our third-party vendors here locally to us to get you that increased ride height, to be able to get you that ground clearance. And that has full, what we classify as a stage 3 suspension. So it's
Okay.
got Bilstein under the front, Fox under the rear. But that is a Moov model,
Okay.
but that is not a Transit Trail chassis. That is strictly just a Transit cargo chassis.
Okay. All right. So that just for folks who are watching this, we're making that definition. Have you guys put out any Transit Trail versions yet?
We
Delivered?
have 2 currently in production being built.
Okay.
To the photos, the interior of those vans that you see, they're currently being built. They're on our production line now. We have shipped the Moov model that's in those photos, just not on the trail itself. So I think we've got 6 or 7 trails currently going through production. Processes of production, I should say.
Okay. Awesome. Lola and I are now official brand ambassadors for Coachman Class B. So I wanted to take a moment to tell you guys why we, as Vannoisseurs, like it says on our t-shirt, are very excited about our partnership with Coachman Class B.
First off, Coachman RVs has been a leader to the great outdoors since 1964.
So next is the fact that Coachman really cares about you as an owner, whether you bought new or used. After you buy your van, they really take care of you.
With Coachman Class B, you have all the options. Coachman builds on all 3 van platforms. On the Mercedes Sprinter is the Coachman Galleria. The Ford Transit is the Coachman Beyond. And Ram ProMaster is the Coachman Nova.
Lastly, best value for money. We've had our van for 2 years, and Coachman builds to the highest standards of quality and craftsmanship. You can't go wrong with a Coachman Class B. So if you're interested, check out the link in our description and find the Coachman van that's best for you. All right, we are back. Okay, we were talking about the Moov, and you're saying you've got several vans out there, various stages of production. Vanessa Kitty, just to get a comment in here for folks, if you guys have questions or comments, let me know. Just put them there in the chat and hit those thumbs up. She says, I'm going to purchase a van to travel and camp. It's fun. For anyone who's thinking about it, regardless of what you get out there, it's a fun thing. I don't regret doing it. I feel like I'm going to have a van for the rest of my life, even if I don't have another vehicle. If Lola cuts me down to one vehicle, please don't do that anytime soon, Lola. But if she cuts me down to one, it's going to be a van, hands down.
Yeah.
It's just too useful.
It's just the versatility, man. There you go. Way too useful. It's all things in one.
Yeah.
It's just all things.
Yeah, so I'm going to continue looking at the Moov, and I want to talk about this. Obviously, there's choices that, because I know, what is it? You have, like, before we got to the Transit Trail, in a regular Vandoit build, what is it? You have, like, what is it? Do it? I'm sure I'm messing it up.
We have the Do model and the Live model.
Do model and Live model.
Yep, and so
what's the difference?
So in a Live model, you get that kind of standardized queen bed that does not have to be folded up out of the way. You can always have your bed ready to go. Still gives you the 8-passenger seating, gives you still the modularity of kitchen components, things like that. Gear slide that pulls out the back to put gear storage in your garage underneath your bed. The biggest key component is a hydraulic bed lift that gives you the ability of setting your bed at different heights. But when you step in it, it's still that bed that doesn't go anywhere.
Okay.
It's right there fixed, so you can easily crawl in after a long race, whatever the case might be. It's always there. And then you step into what we called way in the early days, we called it our rep van. So repping product, people who traveled, basically live full time. It was a vehicle that gave you the versatility of having basically an A-frame grid of extrusion to attach things everywhere throughout the vehicle. So really increase that versatility and modularity front to back, from the back doors to the back of your driver's seat.
So like bicycle
That's what it was.
racers, dirt bike folks, all that kind. That's okay.
Anyone and everyone who needed to haul, do whatever, you could clear it out to where the whole floor was just cargo space if you wanted. But your beds were Murphy style, so they would fold off the wall. And actually, I don't know.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go full screen on you here. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to change the camera.
Okay.
I'll do that real quick. There we go. Boom. Because Jared is in a van, which is awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So this is a do model. So this is an EL. But basically, I'm trying to kind of look here. But so that structure across there, the bed above, that is a platform that can go completely out of the way. Okay. And so, so like you've got hanging cabinets that can move. And so I'm basically just sitting up here in the swivel seat in the front. Yeah. But what it is it
styling and profiling.
There you go, man. I even got my hair cut for you, by the way. I stopped. I had to grab lunch. My wife and kids are gone. I have no home. I have no food at home. And so man. I'm like a college kid when I'm alone. So I actually
is that your wife I saw in the chat? I think I saw your wife in there earlier.
She probably is. Yeah. Who knows?
Libby?
Yep, that's her.
Yes,
so,
there you go. She's checking you out, man. You know, when you get that new haircut, the wife always likes you for about a couple of days until that fades out.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually growing hair again. So I went from a big fro. If you ever come to her, I got a big old picture of me with a fro on the floor.
Okay,
there's a whole other story to that. But now I'm actually not shaving my head completely. So I don't know. I might go back to the fro. But the model that I'm in is the do model. And that gives you that really Swiss Army knife approach of literally, so live model is live anywhere. Okay. The do model is do anything. So live anywhere. Do anything. So for the folks who, like myself, right, where you want to be on the road, but you're also working, you need like an office or something, they would go with the do, I'm assuming. Right? Most people who want that versatility of workspace go with a do model. It is a very big structure and a focus of ours on our all new Moov model, because the Moov model really gives you that next. Shouldn't say tier. That's wrong. Because the do and the live are bulletproof vehicles that have shown true with tons of miles on them and longevity. But the Moov model offers additional storage features. I guess maybe that's the best way is the features that it offers with an upgraded power system and a few other things. It gives you those abilities of kind of maximizing you working on the road. I think that's a lot of what pushed that design was what we launched at the beginning of 2023, which is our commercial department, and really, again, expanding our portfolio and giving those people who maybe are a little less on the passenger hauling, because the Moov is built on a cargo. Okay. And so you do not have the rear passenger option. That's where our do and live really help assist you.
Okay, I get it. I see now. So the seat situation is also, because I know you guys retain the airbags and all that kind of stuff. So this is what makes a little bit of a difference here, right?
Yes. We retain everything. Yep. When it comes to the do and live models, we start with a passenger unit and we only complement what Ford's done. So all your Ford safety, all your passenger safety with curtain airbags, all of that stays intact.
Okay.
And so everything with what we do with the do and the live stays within all guidelines, and we're fully backed by Ford through their QVM program. And so we have the ability to go into 8 passenger seating in the do and the live models. The Moov is currently a cargo version. We are working on, and we have now produced a couple. It's a funny name, and my whole team who's watching or listening are going to make fun of me or get mad. But we call the passenger version of the Moov the Moov airbag. And literally it's because we are keeping the airbags in the back of the van. Hank, they'll also make fun of me too, because I've probably said literally about 40 times in this.
Okay.
And I know when I step out of this van, they're going to meet me at the door and say, you got to stop saying literally so much.
All right.
But hey, that's part of working at Vandoit.
Yeah, it happens.
Don't leave because your face will get plastered on the ground.
Yeah, I was looking at I think your Instagram or something. I followed you on your Instagram, by the way. I don't know if you want a bunch of followers over there, but anyway, I followed it, and you said your number one job is to annoy the people you work with, your team.
That's me.
I was like, oh, that's funny. That would be me too. That would be me too. My team is Lola, but I mean, I know her. Yeah.
Yeah, well, hey, you got to keep it lighthearted. You got to keep it fun. Business is serious. Things are serious. We want to make sure we do right by our customers. But hey, at the end of the day, got to keep a heart of a child. And man, I try to live that to my fullest.
Yeah, and everyone I've ever met on your team is awesome, by the way. I always enjoy meeting your folks out there. There's a lot of them. I always notice it's someone different. Depending on where we are and all that, but they've always been really, really, really cool. So,
yeah, good. You need to come back out. We need to get you in a van.
Absolutely, I would love to. I would love to actually, because I do a series called Van Swap, where we borrow other companies' vans and things like that, or even other people if they volunteer them, for us to actually go out there and live with that van for some period of time, and then report back to folks what is it actually like to live in this van and go somewhere and drive it around and all that. So, let's get back to the to the Moov. I can run in pictures, or we could just talk about the vans in general. What's the advantages or disadvantages of this? So, for example, you guys having that extruded aluminum frame inside, is that making the van stiffer? Is it lighter, heavier? What's the how does all that stuff work for people who haven't seen this before?
So to hit on the key point of weight and structure. So we do not use any wood. We do not use any of your typical. We do not use any of your typical building products. We do utilize, in the context of marine grade, we use your plastics, your polys, a lot of, now what we're using are a lot of composite panels. So different type things that say, one of our components that we use, it's called ACM. So it's an aluminum composite material. So it's basically two faces of aluminum with a composite in between.
Okay.
I'm saying all that to say we use materials that are much thinner and stronger, but they also are much heavier. Having said that, as we calculate our builds and we use the aluminum foundation, we use aluminum extrusion. Yes, it's heavy. There's no, I'm not going to argue with you that the materials we use are heavy, but because of how purposeful we are and how and where we use them, and then always being very microscopic and cutting weight and things like that where we don't need it. If you took our build and compared it to your standard, your standard MDF type board cabinets and things like that, I am going to say that anything that we've ever compared ourselves to actually physically on a scale, we have always come in underweight because we only put the materials where they need to be. And we only use the thicknesses that we need. So instead of it being a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch plywood, I mean, we're using a plastic panel that's an 1/8 inch thick. And so that is where, yes, our upfit is very industrial grade, strong materials, which in most cases does correlate to heavier. Not always. We use some aluminum honeycombs and we use plastic honeycomb to get that thickness, but it drops the weight out.
Yeah.
But in most contexts, what we use, it's heavy, it's strong, it's durable, but in the total build out, we come in typically far lighter than most.
Yeah, I think I understand that. It's logical to me. You know, obviously it's going to be it's a more dense material. It's a metal, right? Versus let's say a wood, but because of the strength, you don't need as much of it to get that strength or stiffness or whatever you need in the van as you would need if you're using wood, right? In a lot of places you're going to need to use more wood and you know, and just add more to it. So, I think that makes sense to me. Obviously, building something you're going to live in is going to add weight. I think there's probably also a benefit from durability, you know, or its ability to last over time, right? Because aluminum is not going to hold mold, for example.
Right. Yeah. You know, especially with like our history with the live and do models, utilizing the headliners that Ford has. It's all plastic panels. The headliners are a foam with basically a fiberglass backing. So our concerns of moisture and mildew and mold are very minimal, extremely minimal, in fact, because almost all of our surfaces are cleanable. And, you know, not to be gross or disgusting about it, but, you know, whenever you first get a mattress, your mattress only weighs, you know, so much. But as you sleep on that mattress, you sweat, your skin cell, all that. A used mattress gets heavier in time.
Oh
So
yeah.
does wood.
Yeah.
Wood, composites, all
They
those
absorb.
finishes,
They absorb things.
they absorb. You got it. And so
Humidity, all kinds of
yep,
stuff, and the creatures
starts to
start to live in
smell.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh
You
yeah.
got to
So
burn those things.
yep. So musty. You know, they get
Yeah.
musty. They swell. We don't have those issues with our vans, and so you know something what we've done in the new Move model that will kind of fall into our other models in time is an indoor shower. We've always struggled. I've always struggled with water inside a vehicle because of what it does moisture wise. Not concerned with mold and things like that because of what we do, but it's when you start putting pounds of moisture in the air, you got to be careful and cautious of what you're doing because then you have to worry about how much longer it's going to take to cool it down. It's going to take, you know, if it's cold outside, what's that moisture do? And so we've always stayed realistic, I guess, in most cases, to where you're not going to put your home in a van and be successful over numerous seasons. You know, we're based in Missouri. We truly get all 4 seasons here. It can get below 0 for a few weeks out of the year, and it gets above 110 a few weeks out of the year.
Right.
We have extremely humid times. We have very dry times. And so testing our units right here, we get all 4 seasons. And that's, you know, we build adventure vans. We build camper vans. We want people to take them to all climates. And building a vehicle to go to all climates requires focusing on what things like mold and things like that do. And I think we've done a great job of it.
Yeah. So you mentioned a shower, and I think one of the questions I get a lot when I do videos with you guys is the bathroom. So cassette, obviously there's a cassette toilet. If you've been looking at the pictures, there's a cassette toilet in there. You know, some people need a bathroom. I probably fall into that category because I've had Crohn's disease for more than half of my life. Bathroom's really important, like an actual black tank, etc. Is that something you guys plan on doing in the future? Is it something you do now? You know, what's your perspective on that?
Well, Hank, to be very fair with you and tell you straight, we never say no to anything. But dealing with waste and tanks under vehicles is one reason, like, our owners love us, because we keep the winterization and we keep the headaches away. And so it's never a no. It is always looking for that next best toilet option that maybe keeps us away from ever having to do a black tank. Currently, we do not do a black tank, and we do not foresee in the future of doing a black tank because of all of the good options out there for cassette and other styles. So we use dry flush toilets.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many good, clean options. Like I said, there's never a no, but with technology and the ability of advancement, our
Mm-hmm.
hopes would be that there's advancements in ways where we can give you that full-time bathroom without
Mm-hmm.
the hassle of that winterization. Because that's the biggest thing. We try to
Okay.
really keep, if you go to our website, one of the key things you'll see is this trying to keep the hassle away
Mm-hmm.
from the owner. That's
Yeah.
that's such a big
I
goal of
think it's
ours.
fair. I think it's fair. And I think, I have a black tank and I figured out how to deal with it. I could deal with it pretty quickly and efficiently. But I have noticed when I go to certain parts of the country, it's really not that easy to even find a place to dump a black tank, especially, let's say,
Hmm.
like California, etc. And then I know there's disadvantages to it. And I think I would agree with you that there's better and better technology out there. Once you put that black tank in, though, you're going to lose a lot of modularity, right? Because you've got a
Yep.
set thing in a set position. So I understand it. I think that's a fair answer to that. And the technology is getting better and better all the time. When I go to different shows, I see some really cool things out there. So they're just expensive, but so is a
They
black
are.
tank.
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah. It's as give and
mhm,
take, man. It's all
yeah.
about the give and take, and what
Hmm.
matters most to you, and maybe giving up a little modularity is
Hmm.
going to make sense for you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we try to guide our customers to best. We
Hmm.
try to do our best job of not selling. We counsel.
Hmm.
We try to do our best job to find out what it is they need and try to match best to that need.
Okay.
We built handicap accessible vehicles.
Hmm.
We've built
That was
vehicles
going to be
for
my next
fam.
question to you, whether or not you
Okay.
can do handicapped, because I know
Mhm.
someone, I'm thinking about a particular person who likes Vandoit and,
Mhm.
he's handicapped, so
Yep.
he
Yep.
needs
We
to
have.
be able to get a wheelchair in there. Okay.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yep. We have. We've been fully successful with it.
Hmm.
Definite learning curve.
Okay.
The individual that we've worked with on it,
Hmm.
his name's Jeremy McGee. He's been amazing to work with.
Hmm.
It's just being very open about it. It's you just never, we all walk in our own ways of life,
Hmm.
and that's probably the biggest thing I love about my job is just doing anything I can to help assist someone else in their walk of life. And
Absolutely.
and it could, for Jeremy, it's how do we make everything accessible for him from a wheelchair, and a lot of struggles,
Hmm.
but it's honestly been exciting. I'm not going to say necessarily fun. It's been exciting to find ways to make him successful to where he can, with changes in his life, he can still do the things he's always loved to do.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're in the final part here. We're gonna start wrapping this up relatively soon here. I've got a question from Joy B. It says, "I'm just joining this chat, and I'm not sure what the name of this company is. It's Vandoit. But are these vans cheaper than basic vans, and do they finance the vans, or do you have to already have a van?" So I understand she just came in. We touched on this a little bit. In the earlier part of this video. But go ahead, Jared, and cover that again if you don't mind.
So, appreciate the question. Uh, so we have, when it comes to pricing, I'm not sure what you mean by basic van, but we have options from pre-owned units through used units all the way up to brand new, state of the art. We range anywhere from about $55,000 in a build that you can get your hands on, all the way up to, we now push a little bit above 240,000 on the high end. We probably actually can push a little bit past that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to financial options, we actually have a dealer, selling dealer that's actually tied to us, to where we actually work hand in hand with them to work options with you. And so anything that you have, we can take trade ins. So anything you would typically see at a standard car dealership or RV dealership, we take trades. We do anything up to 15-year financing. We do have other options that potentially can work for you as well. Uh, And when I mentioned trades, we take vehicles, other vehicles. We take a lot of RVs, bigger RVs who want to downsize.
Yeah.
We've
Good.
actually
Good.
bought quite a few half-built DIY builds from
Oh,
people
really?
because
That's
they get too far in, and it's our job to help take
yeah.
them out of the headache.
Yeah. It's
But
tough.
even recently, we took land in on trade. We took a
What?
rental property.
Oh boy.
Uh, this is from the past. This is not a
Mm-hmm.
Vandoit thing, but we
Uh-huh.
actually have traded for a horse. So we have been horse traders before. So
Nice.
if it's
Nice.
the way we look at it is we want to
Mm-hmm.
present the most value we can to you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be scared to offer something to us in value to make that happen.
Oh, cool.
That's probably
Yeah.
the easiest way to say is like, look, if you got something that you think's valuable, I mean, we collect bikes. I mean, I don't know
Okay.
how many bikes we have in one of our
Mm-hmm.
barns. We got
Yeah.
a lot of bikes.
Really?
And so being
Okay.
a family-owned business,
Mm-hmm.
we just make sense of it. And basically, like I mentioned earlier, Hank, it's never no.
Mm-hmm.
It's just let us take a look.
Yeah, don't tell
And
me stuff like this, man. I'll come up with all kinds of things, you know. I can find a
I'm,
cow. I live in cow country. I can
hey,
find a
dude, bring it.
couple of cows.
Hey, I probably sold food to those cows when I worked in Georgia. So
Oh, okay. All right. Very nice. I think that was a good question from Joy B because I think you covered some things that we didn't get to that it was good to get to. But what I want to do here before we get out, I really do want to have a conversation with you about the future since we're, at the end of 2023 here. Not just the near future, 2024, but what do you see for the future of van life, Class B vans, this thing that we do?
growth. I mean, I think if I had to use a word, it'd be growth.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned technology. We
Mm-hmm.
mentioned everything that's coming with it. COVID did an amazing thing, which was it made people realize we have an amazing playground with the U.S., the world, but really for national parks. It's been such an eye opener that you can still get out, get away from your computer screen, get away from your phones, and actually still enjoy the countryside. But
Mm-hmm.
Class Bs, look, we run in a crazy world. We run with working probably way too many hours, up way too early, up way too late, and the Class B um, economy, I guess you could probably call it, gives that functionality, gives that ability to you, Hank, to be able to do this show on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Class A's, other type builds do it, tow behinds do it,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't do it in the way, like I'll speak for Vandoit, don't do it in a way that's versatile for you. Class B's give you that flexibility to not have to take that extra loan out, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
replace a vehicle and go mobile with about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And for Vandoit, it's just looking forward. It's all about continually finding ways, if it's advancements in technology, if it's creativeness, ingenuity, whatever the case might be, it's being able to continually fit more square pegs in round holes
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find ways to be able to get you, your family, and other people, you know, to gravitate in this direction and actually see that if I'm a person, I can travel and I can do my job on the road
Yeah.
and enjoy, and it's plus 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 plus. It's
Yeah.
a very short story, but we have traveling nurses who own our vans. And it's amazing because they buy a Vandoit, they are a traveling nurse, so they find the next spot that makes sense for them, and they pick their next spot because when they go from one job to the next, they give themselves about 2 to 3 weeks of travel between the two areas,
Mm-hmm.
and they make sure that between the two areas they have amazing travels along the way.
Yeah.
And now they get per diem, so they just park in the hospital parking lot. And people are starting to become so clever.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to be so clever with how you can live in this crazy world with everything going on but still get outside, still be able to enjoy, honestly, the fresh air, enjoy all the things that we say, our granddads, did with us, we did with our, what I would call my kids lovey poppy,
Yeah.
be able to get out with them. But you can actually still do that in a Class B because it offers versatility. With Vandoit, it's a Swiss Army knife. You can take it anywhere. You can do anything, and I see the future only growing in the Class Bs because they are more affordable than your $1 million, big Class As.
Right.
But they also have enough room and space and honestly functionality to them to where you can do all those things I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And you do it with a level of success, I think is probably another way to say it.
Yeah, I think Class B or van life is here to stay. I don't think that I think it's going to grow and change, and I think the vans are going to adapt as we go forward. They may become hybrids, they may become electric, whatever. That technology has to work itself out, right? Between the government and then what's practical and what people can afford, that all has to work itself out. But I think they're here to stay. Like you said, it's just too convenient for way too many people and the technology that exists and all that. I'm doing this right now off of phones. I live out in the country. I live out in the country. People literally, this is like, when you drive around where I live, I live in Florida. When you drive around in the country, the north central part of Florida, when you drive around here, folks have on their trucks, it's beef, it's what's for dinner. So that's what you see around here. And the internet's pretty terrible unless I do it off of phones. But here I am doing it. So yeah, I think that's here to stay. Let me just get one quick thing in for Joy B. She wanted to know, and I'm assuming that it's she wanted to know like whether or not you could bring the van. I think if you go back to the beginning of this, we definitely covered that, and we'll have answers for you there. And I think the folks from Vandoit are in there as well. I would definitely recommend you guys reach out to Vandoit. Do you want to let folks know if they have more questions, they want to get those answered, how they can do it?
Yeah, probably the best way is you might actually probably get a comment so I don't botch it, but probably a good way would be to email sales@vandoit.com. Also, you can go online, you can fill out a contact form. And go through basically our standard lead process. That's going to get you in the hands of a salesperson, a guru, and they'll help answer any questions. If you leave a message, anything like that on Instagram, any of our social media platforms, we'll absolutely answer you there and get you in the right hands.
Yeah, and check these guys out at a show. I see them almost at every, I think, overlanding show, and there's a bunch of other shows that Vandoit goes to, so I would definitely say check them out there. Before we get out of here, I want to, if I didn't wish you a Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays, Happy New Year to all the folks out there. I think I'm going to do one more show here, but it's not going to be a podcast, because I need to do the top 5 coolest things that we saw in 2023, and I think the fastest way for me to get that done is just go live and do it, so you guys can look forward to that. I also want to thank Jared of Vandoit and all the other folks at the team that helped put this together and make it happen. I want to thank you guys for doing that, and I will give you the last words, Jared.
Yeah, well, Hank, I appreciate you having me on. It's been awesome talking with you. And, I would just say, happy holidays to everybody. And as we kind of closed out, camper vans are a thing here to stay. Hope you check us out. Our whole goal as Vandoit is take care of you, take care of the customer, take care of you, find ways to fit your budget, find ways to fit, what you're needing. Please let us help you find a way to make your dreams come true. You give us a chance, give us the opportunity, and you never know what's going to happen. And so, check us out, follow us, like us, whatever, you say. But definitely appreciate it. Hank, appreciate the time, man. And, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Stay right there, Jared. We're going to end it. We'll see you guys on the next one. We're out. Peace.
All right.